I mean, there's a reason Space Station's on top of the leaderboards right now. Coming into today, they were the only team sitting at 13 points, but that still wasn't enough to guarantee them the spot. eUnited struggled a little bit, has really turned it on as of late, and there's a team, as you mentioned, that could absolutely take on this task.
Terra going to be banned out here, first of all, by eUnited, excuse me. Space Station Gaming, though. Interesting. I always keep looking at this logo. I think it looks like an emoji.
Kind of does. Looks like, didn't Totally say it looks like a controller?
Yeah.
In the helmet? Yeah, I see that.
I see that too. I do see that too.
I like it.
I think it's interesting.
I'm a fan.
So a little bit of background. Space Station Gaming is actually a brand new esports organization, kind of from people that understand, people that come from the social media world. And so seeing them enter esports is really neat because it's one thing when, hey, I got a bunch of money, I'm going to invest in the hot new thing, versus, hey, I like video games, I like esports, I want to do that too. And that's kind of where Space Station's coming from. So I like to see that sort of embracement, I guess.
Well, they got a big roster. They'd certainly signed a good one because these guys in North America, Jigs and the squad, are certainly one of the most talented teams in the world and can definitely make a lot of noise under this new banner. Yeah,
we see a lot of nice interaction between the team and the owner, and kind of nice to see that one going here. Looking at the bans, Terra, Nemesis, Fafnir, Soul, kind of standard. Nemesis a little bit, not surprised to see her banned, but not always the go-to.
No, but I mean, definitely one of those throwaway bans in that first slot where you're saying, okay, we don't really know if we want to first pick this, but it's really strong, so let's just take it off the table. Both warriors left open here, but neither are going to be picked by eUnited. Instead, going for Verizial, Susano, counting on Space Station, not picking both the Bologna and Osiris, and the gamble pays off.
I like the Susano selection. You give Verizial a character that he can run the game on, and if he does so, you might actually win coming out from eUnited. Nemesis, the ban also kind of dictates the kind of game that you want to play. By taking Nemesis out, you can go a little bit more tanky across the board, so kind of surprising to see Susano wind up in the jungle, but there are a lot of other selections that eUnited might want to go that Nemesis eats up.
I mean, I'm not surprised that the Susano was the first pick, but with Nemesis off the board, I am a little surprised that Space Station didn't immediately answer with Bologna Osiris.
Exactly.
I mean, that's a composition that usually you see in this sort of scenario. Space Station had a good, long, hard thing about it, but they select the Osiris. Is there any way? Yeah, I guess there is. That Bologna isn't locked in here because it's Amaterasu for eUnited.
Yeah, listen, the Amaterasu, I think this is going to wind up in the hands of Benji. This is Benji, and for my money, Benji's best god. I really like to see him on the Amaterasu. He has no problem losing the lane early. He can lose with dignity, which is hard to do as a solo laner. It sounds kind of funny that it takes a skilled solo laner to effectively lose the lane, but against an Osiris, that's what you're dialing up for.
Exactly, and if Osiris does fall behind early to the Amaterasu, watch out, because then that means that Space Station's losing pressure on that right side of the map. It's going to eUnited, and with Thoth in that mid lane, that means that he's going to be getting a little bit more farm. If eUnited can find some early kills on that right-hand side and shut down that Osiris coming out of Final K, that means that eUnited could be on their way to a Game 1 victory.
Yeah, that's the problem, is that Final K is on this Osiris, and you heard Zach on the desk talk about Final K being maybe his rookie of the year. Final K has looked absolutely fantastic.
Sure has.
And I think he can go toe-to-toe with Benji, no problem.
I agree with you. Final K has proven time and time again that there's no matchup that he can't do well in. Yeah. I'm not worried about him if I'm rooting for Space Station.
Thoth, on the other hand, is still as locked in for Space Station across the way. I'm looking at Chaos. Chaos is the longest member on this team, actually the only original member left, as Bologna's banned out. Space Station Gaming still not confirmed that they won't play Amy support. So the Thoth here, Chaos hasn't been doing it for me this split, honestly. I'm really careful about this mid lane. Really curious of what's going to happen.
I mean, Annenster's definitely started to mature in that mid lane and started to look a little bit better there. I agree with you. Chaos started off the split a little bit lackluster in that mid lane, but there's a big reason why eUnited has looked better as of late. That's because he and Verizial have started to look much better together, and that's what's so important, having that mid-jungle synergy. There's a reason that it was either Pain or Verizial that was going, and Verizial was the one who ended up staying. It's very difficult to replace your jungler, and with how well Polar Bear Mike is playing that support role, can't really fault eUnited for the decision they made.
Yeah, I like the acquisition of Polar Bear Mike in the support role. You see the Naja and the Cabzon's banned out by eUnited alongside the Nemesis. A lot of attention being paid to that jungle role for Space Station, for good reason. I think homie Effie is... that's all I really got to say.
He's really good. He's really good, but Robin is a good god in this scenario. Again, gets a little bit of early game going, preventing that Scylla from getting dove too hard early on. Not only the Scylla, but the Geb for Jigs that was first picked by Space Station. Then you've got pressure on that right-hand side of the map. Rav and Osiris are going to be able to fight Susano Amaterasu pretty easily. Oh no, excuse me, Susano Sun Wukong that is going to be Amaterasu in the support role for eUnited. So a little bit more early game on the side of eUnited. Benji going to be playing the Wukong, I'd imagine. Though maybe we see Polar Bear Mike do the old school throwback to the Wukong support.
I would rather see the Wukong support.
Just because of how strong Amaterasu is for Benji?
Yes. When it comes down to it, you really got to embrace sort of what you're good at, but that's not what we'll see. We'll see Polar Bear Mike play on the Amaterasu support, and we'll see Benji pick up the standard Sun Wukong. And as far as the lane is concerned, though, this is probably the better lane. The early game of Sun Wukong can really kind of dance with Final K.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that that's the reason why we see Sun Wukong to be the pick here for Benji, because of how good he can do up against Osiris in that lane early on, trading out with those abilities. And I like what Benji did. You saw Homie FA and Final K thought about trying to proxy that wave like we saw Weekend and Cyclone Spin do in the last game, but Benji was there waiting for them, so instead he's going to pick up the little guys on his own blue buff, trying to ensure that he hits level 2 as soon as possible.
Kind of a similar story on the left side. We'll see the jungle buffs picked up before the wave, and players will make their way over there. Actually, nice play by eUnited to look for those oracles nice and early. They're gonna forgo a lot of they're gonna miss an entire wave. Actually, is that worth?
I mean, it's giving you guaranteed vision. I think you end up being a little bit net negative in terms of overall XP and gold, but it gives you that overall vision of the lane. There's no way that Homie FA is going to be able to come to this left side and find a cheeky gank early on, having that guaranteed vision on the Gold Fury.
Venium and Jigs have really wound up to be a solid duo lane together. Really enjoyed watching these two play. And here you see the result of 2 waves of archers just kind of hanging out, already ticking down that tower to something reasonable.
So with that part of that wave surviving as Venium and Jigs get silenced by Polar Bear Mike, that means that it's huge advantage for eUnited, hitting 3 significantly before Space Station, which means they're going to hit 4 first and 5 as well.
Viriziel trying to escape as the invade winds up being unsuccessful. Speed buff does go the way of the Space Station's Homie FA, and so Viriziel and Benji will go ahead and just slink back into the jungle. Chaos here on the Thoth guy, getting rid of those right side mid harpies. And as we said, the mid lane matchup I think is perhaps the most important. I think that Benji and Final K are going to dance. I think that these are 2 very strong players. Both have the capability to really solo each other. Maybe we'll see some action, maybe we won't. Dual lane, kind of similar story. I think this middle lane is kind of where you're looking at a little bit shaky if you're an eUnited fan.
Volatile is the word I would use.
There you go.
Both Aninster and Chaos have shown the capability of being volatile, having great games where they absolutely carry their brains out, and also games where they fall behind a little bit. And that's kind of the danger of being a mid laner that likes to play these late game impact gods, that whenever you don't make that late game impact, it's very difficult for your team to overcome that.
Yeah, we're used to seeing Chaos play some of these characters like Agni and not Xing Chen, but Zhang Kui, the other 2-name character. Really looking for some of those later game plays. Final K, nice run away from Viriziel. Knew that he wasn't going to be able to finish the kill, so just heavy poke, bringing the solo laner down to half HP. Chaos here on the Thoth, though, joined up by his jungler. I'm hoping we get to see the good Chaos today, because I think that this is potential to be one of the more exciting matchups all split.
I agree with you, and honestly, with the way that Chaos has been playing as of late, I expect to see the good Chaos today. He's looked pretty solid as of late. I think he went through a little bit of a rut as he was, finishing school, and there were a lot of things going on in his life. But it's always a big deal in terms of balancing, what's important in your real life and of course your professional gaming career. So now that he's refocused, he's looked a lot stronger, and I anticipate that to continue.
Panda Cat trading out with Venium right now. PBM heading out into the jungle, even though Jigs is still sticking around. Benji's going to take his first bat. No, he's going to hang out and poke down Final K. Neither solo laner has gone back home yet, and pretty much the same start from either character. Starting item into some boots, and then this health chalice that we've seen all split. Very, very helpful in keeping you sustained in lane.
It's just efficient. I mean, you're going to be buying health potions consistently as solo laners anyways. You may as well invest the 300 right off the bat and then not spend any more on health potions the rest of the game. You still have that free inventory slot for some wards, for some multi-pots, mana pots, whatever you feel like you need in that second consumable slot. But health chalice definitely makes the most sense for me in the solo lane.
It's one of the nice things about that Geb Shield, getting Andy out of the stun from Thoth. Not too big of a deal there. No follow-up, so nothing to be afraid of. Hence, no beads usage. Still off cooldown for Anister in the mid lane. Nice and early here, 4.5, and very quiet game so far. Vriziel has hit level 6. I would like to see in level 7 now. I'd like to see some Susanna rotations, but at the same time, you don't want to force anything.
Not against Robin and Osiris,
Exactly.
anyways. I mean, they've got so much early game damage and control. It's so difficult to get away from either of those characters in the early game, even as the most mobile god in the game, Susano.
You think he's the most mobile?
Yes, between not only his double movement abilities and the passive, giving him additional movement speed when those are on cooldown, I don't think there's anyone who's harder to catch except for maybe Giannis.
Yeah, Giannis is always who comes to mind.
But but sometimes Giannis isn't mobile at all because he's caught in the middle of a lane and can't get away.
Well,
Susano never has that problem.
Yeah, that comes down to the pilot, though.
Sure.
Giannis should not be in the middle of the lane.
You know what? I would agree with you, but we see plenty of Giannis's in the middle of the lane.
You just don't stand there unless you're clearing the wave. And even if you are, you can do it next to a wall, too, believe it or not. Either way, though, no Giannis here. Just a Thoth guy and a Scylla. Benji's going to find the stun on to Fine OK. Nice avoidance of Fine OK's ability there. Benji just very careful with his spacing.
One of the most veteran solo laners that we have left here in the SPL. Benji knows these matchups inside and out, very adaptable as well. You can see that his god pool is pretty wide. I mean, not only can he play the Sun Wukongs, but the aggressive gods as well.
It's really cute. Here it's going to be a big play out of Jigs. Onto Jigs, perhaps jump, and that's going to stop the rollout. Couple of basics will do it, but can they catch him is the question. Beautiful body blocks coming out of Vedium, but you can't block the ricochet. Panda Cat gets first blood. Rotation out of the mid lane. Anister's going to hit, but won't confirm the kill. It's Homie Efe that does the dirty work, finding the bounce back play. Space Station answers. It's 1-1.
Honestly, even though eUnited get that first blood, as long as Space Station can punish Panda Cat for using his purification beads in that scenario, could be advantage Space Station.
Andy here gonna collapse on Chaos with the help of Homie. Ooh, just stuck out.
That's tough stuff there for Chaos. But again, I like that decision to hold to the purification beads. He dashed to get into the mid lane. He knew he was dead, no matter what happened there. Just good recognition from Space Station and good pathing from Homie Efe. That Sentry Ward on the bottom left-hand side is already paying dividends.
That's really what you're looking for. Like you said, that there's a Sentry Ward right on the left side of the lane coming into the mid lane, and there's one right in front of the tower as well. Space Station just want to understand where the jungler is. You see these wards around the mid lane, and you kind of think, is it about the mage? It's all about Vriziel's pathing and where he's traveling throughout the map.
Just making sure that what happened to eUnited's mid laner doesn't happen to Anister. You know, making sure that Panda Cat knows exactly where everyone is at all times, if possible, or if Vedium can do the same on the side of Space Station. And that's where you get those minute little gold leads can start to make an impact, is in the ward purchases. And despite eUnited being slightly in that gold lead, if Space Station has a little bit more vision coverage, at least on the left side.
I mean, that 500, now 474, excuse me. That 500 gold is basically first blood. The little lead that eUnited does have, if you want to call it that at all. So that's really where it comes from, is the fact that they did get the first kill. Going to Panda Cat on the Ho Yi, who's building into the lifesteal, it looks like. We're going to see raw attack speed come out of the Rom and the Devo gloves out of the Ho Yi, which I'm a fan of, actually.
I mean, kind of like Hurwin's one of the only guys who's still going for Warlock Sash in the mid lane. Panda Cat seems to be the only guy who's consistently going for Devo gloves in that duo lane. And as I mentioned, not having the purification beads for another 30 seconds and going for a later game build where he's got less power right now and will for the next foreseeable 5 to 6 minutes, Space Station can really make life difficult for Panda Cat if they choose to do so.
At the same time, eUnited knowingly are an objective-minded team, and with the Devo gloves, that does allow the Hunter a little bit more leeway to tank the Gold Fury over there on the left side of the map. And that's one of the more impressive things. When you do get the 75 stacks up and you're all stacked out, and there's a fight going on the right side, you can just sit there and solo the gold, no problem. Definitely something eUnited is thinking about in the later stages.
And that used to be the meta. You always had to be worried about an enemy Hunter soloing Gold Fury, and you really don't anymore, so don't be surprised if teams like Space Station kind of get caught sleeping and allow someone like Panda Cat, who's building the Devourer's Gauntlets, to solo a Gold Fury once he gets an extra item or two online. Can't do it as soon as you finish Devo Gloves.
No.
You still don't have enough power built into that build, but once he finishes off, you know, an Ichabal or an Executioner, then you can start to see Panda Cat try and pull that objective all on his own.
Andy here grouped up with his jungler and his support. Riziel and Thoth here with PBM lurking in the wings. And as soon as Polar Bear Mike shows his face, Space Station backs off a little bit. That's why eUnited were kind of playing that coy. They wanted to see if Space Station would engage, and as soon as they didn't really take the bait, PBM just walks up in the middle and says, look, go away.
And again, two different styles of builds coming out of supports. Gauntlet of Thebes again for Polar Bear Mike, despite the nerf, still feels like it's the best option in that second item slot, whereas Jigs, no surprise to see him going for the Hide of the Urchin. He's always been a fan of going for that pure protection on himself early on, and then using that survivability to save his teammates with his Geb shields instead of using the auras to save them.
Yeah, I like the build on Jigs. You can see the CDR boots built out to ensure that he gets more and more of those shields like you were talking about. The build on a Polar Bear Mike is a very different mentality, more about just sticking around and helping his team out with those Thebes. Even after the change, you know, it's interesting seeing people split on these items.
I'm surprised that he went for the reinforced Greaves here instead of some Traveler shoes, trying to get a little bit of extra gold. It's what Amaterasu does really well in that support role, is poke people from a distance, get some safe Talaria boots procs off without full committing. It really allows Amaterasu to get a ton of gold very, very quickly. Not seeing it here, instead a little bit more worried about the CC chain potential from Space Station, but really, I mean, the CCR from Reinforced Greaves is not going to help you against a knock-up from Geb. It will help you against Cataclysm and the roots coming out of Homie FA and Final K's ultimates, but outside of that, I mean, I don't know, just looking for outright protection, I suppose. Not a lot of dots either, what you usually used to seeing when these boots are picked up.
It's the outright protection, I think, really, Aggro, is the fact that Thebes has kind of been nerfed a little bit, especially for the wearer themselves. And with that in mind, I think the boots kind of cover up where Thebes has been lacking recently, or at least perhaps that might be the thought process out of PBM. Looking for our 11th minute here still. Very quiet action. eUnited kind of started a fight and Space Station cleaned up afterwards, but after that, really nothing to talk too much about as far as action is concerned. Really, players just looking for these small opportunity windows.
And that favors eUnited because of their draft and because of the fact that Panda Cat's going for a later game style of build. Scylla comes online a little bit earlier than Thoth, and especially with Chaos going for this very expensive second item, Spear of Desolation, it's going to take him a little bit longer to get those power items going. So the fact that this game is going pretty slowly, in my mind, favors eUnited.
Yeah, it's interesting. The Spear of Desolation is one of these items that's so expensive. I think we only see him go it because of how quiet this game has gone. If this game was a little bit more action-oriented, we'd see a different option. Maybe even just, you know, number 2 penetration or something else. But since nothing's happening, Chaos is, all right, look, man, I'm just going to go big or go home.
And this is everything that the Thoth wants. It's power, it's CDR, it's penetration. I mean, it's great in that second item slot if you can afford it, and Chaos has afforded it thus far. Just a matter of, not only does it matter that how long it takes you to finish your second item, but what about your third item, your fourth item, and these expensive items set you back exactly throughout the entire rest of the game, not necessarily just waiting to complete it right away.
Space Station making a move here, looking for the Gold Fury, bringing it down to 90% rather quickly. Panda Cat on the left side. Polar Bear Mike has a straight vision of it. Gold Fury down to half, still no leash. Now 40, there's the blink forward from Jigs looking for the fight. Going to be moving out of there as a jungler, and problems as eUnited grouped up as 4, but it's Jigs who has the problem. Benji rotating from the short side, taking down the support. Riziel gets sniped out by Vedium, and Homie FA going to get smoked out melee style by Panda Cat.
Vedium just saves that team fight for Space Station by taking down Riziel. This is a 5v3. It's probably a very easy Gold Fury for eUnited. Instead, they decide they don't want to take this fight any longer, missing their jungler. But Chaos comes up huge in that team fight. Not only does he hit Jigs with the final judgment and allow that first kill to go eUnited's way, but he forces Anister out of the fight, even with Andy being the I'm a Monster. Big 600 damage comes his way, courtesy of Chaos's final judgment, and that makes Andy reconsider where he needs to be positioning in this team fight. Chaos with a big play for eUnited.
Yeah, nice stuff bringing that one down. And Space Station Gaming also, you know, trying to go for that aggressive play here. I think that's the right call given their composition and everything that they're doing there with the Gold Fury. But eUnited just kind of come out on top. Big shout outs to Benji making that rotation. Not just the rotation from the other side of the map, but the rotation on the Gold Fury, making the flank from the backside.
It was just a good fight from eUnited all around. And Jigs, I liked what Space Station was doing, as you mentioned. I mean, waiting. He knew he could blink Cataclysm, Polar Bear, Mike, but needed one more member to step up before he went for it. Good patience coming out of Space Station, but the quick beads from Verizio means that blink Cataclysm doesn't do that much for Space Station.
And he just escapes down on the right side. So because of that one, Gold Fury goes to no one. Doesn't even get killed. eUnited still up by a little less than 1,000, tied up 3-3 here as we approach minute 15.
Mystical Mail is done now for FineOK, so we went for a little bit more late game oriented, I would say, or at least mid game oriented. Don't get that quick power spike like Benji has with the Gladiator shield, but Benji very strong right now. He's got 3 items completed. He's got 30% CDR between the Breastplate of Valor and the Gladiator shield, and it allows him to trade a little bit more effectively with FineOK. This is the perfect time for eUnited to start to take these fights because PandaCat's finished off those Devourer's gauntlets fully stacked with a 75. He's got an Executioner now as well. You have an Aura item on the side of eUnited, whereas Space Station does not. And as I mentioned, Benji is at a very strong moment right now.
Yeah, he just finished up that Glad shield.
Oh my goodness, where did he go?
He just got Silled.
Got blink cataclysmed by Jigs, and those beads were still down. So Verizio, as I mentioned, this looked like a good time to fight for eUnited, but maybe needed an extra 10 seconds for those beads to be ready. Didn't quite find it. Good recognition by Jigs and the rest of Space Station. Only one ultimate used there as well. Didn't even need the I'm a Monster from Annenster.
I'd like to see somebody, I'd like to see Benji build into the Mystical Mail a little bit later as well. 2 blinks on the side of Space Station. You're going to see this blink Kata, but also this blink Root combo come out of the Raven as well. That's going to, if you keep the enemy in combat, that's going to kind of mess up a lot of what Space Station's doing. If Benji goes ahead and picks up the Mystical Mail, he's going to be on the backside. He's just looking to be annoying the whole time. I think the Mail is going to help out very well to disrupt what Space Station Gaming wants to do here.
It just might be a little awkward going for that sort of expensive item and that 4th item slot now. Wouldn't be surprised if we went for something like a Hide of the Urchin, maybe some magical defense up against Annenster on the Scylla. But you're right, it would work well against this double blink, and I think that's another reason why we saw Verizio fall so quickly in that mid lane. Probably didn't expect Homie FA to be throwing that blink out and close that gap so easily.
That was, he kind of just got surprised a little bit by the quickness. The enemy collapsed on them. PandaCat now, Executioner in hand. And look at that, that's going to be attack speed boots. I didn't bring it up earlier, but basically by going the attack speed boots kind of shows us that, I don't know, I think he's going to be looking for more power later on.
Late game. He's just keeping late game in mind. In the early game, Warrior Tabai are great on Hou Yi because your damage is solid on your abilities. You're not worried about attack speed that much because no one has attack speed. But in the late game, when Vedium gets to pop that steroid and have basically max attack speed, Hou Yi can't keep up with that. So instead, he kind of mitigates that weakness with the Ninja Tabai. Again, eyes on the late game prize for PandaCat.
So as we take a look here, Vedium going to come back in the lane the safe way. Really does not want to walk through that corridor. And that's something you have to get used to as a Hunter player when you're against Hou Yi. Not the capability, but the chance of the triple bounds coming through there is just too real. You can never, ever take that dangerous pathing.
Just can't fight Hou Yi right there. I mean, you got to find a better spot to do so. In lane, you're still in danger, but it's not quite as much. I mean, you really have a tough time finding a spot where you can fight Hou Yi safely, where Ricochet can't make a big impact, but certainly want to mitigate your chances, and good pathing there from Vedium.
Yeah, I mean, there are spots on the map where dedicated Hou Yi players or dedicated Hunter players will understand that I'm going to get hit by a triple bounce. Specifically by the Gold Fury, there are a number of spots that it's just very, I won't say easy, but the players actually practice these specific spots. And when you're over by the Gold Fury and the enemy purple buff, these are definite situations where you're just going to get ricocheted. So players have to really play around that very carefully, knowing that Hou Yi is in the game.
Annenster finishing off a Spear of Desolation of his own. So now he's got that CDR to match that of Chaos, but has a little bit more penetration and physical protection with a Dynasty Plate Helm, where Chaos could be building towards a Soul Reaver, though I doubt it would be one this early on. I'd anticipate that's going to be a Book of Thoth just for that extra power and, of course, mana that Thoth can need at times. He does spam a lot of his abilities. The low cooldown on Glyph of Pain and Hieroglyphic Assault makes it pretty easy to burn through that mana pool fairly early on. So I like this pickup. And plus, I mean, let's be real. It's his book. Like, I feel wrong if I don't build Book of Thoth on Thoth.
So you want to see a Chronos pendant on Chronos?
Yeah, sometimes I buy that, yeah. It makes me feel guilty. Like it's his pendant. Maybe he wants it, and I don't give it to him? That's rude. It's his book. He carries it all the time. It's blank unless you buy the item. Everyone knows that.
Blink forward from Jigs. He's going to collapse on a polar bear. Mike, damage out of the mid lane as well. A little bit of immunity up north as Viriziel sends Homie Effie in the other direction. Andy uses the ultimate defensively to get rid of Benji's crowd control, but now Andy's taking damage. Chunks down Benji just a little bit, and that chases out the Monkey's ultimate. Final K still over here getting those oracles while the team fight goes on, and Benji's going to land onto the mid Harpies. Much ado about nothing. Nobody gets anything. Nobody dies. A couple of ultimates expended, but eUnited will look towards the Gold Fury with Chaos's ultimate still intact.
Blink in from Homie Efe right onto Chaos, who just used his dash, but Homie Efe's the target.
Where'd it go?
Benji is going to find him. Chaos charging that Final Judgment, fires it off, but it never hits a home.
Final K now very deep in enemy territory, has the thorns, so nobody can really turn on him. Benji doesn't have that luxury, walks away, flies away. There, Viriziel going to jump right on into the mess of Space Station Gaming. Benji forced on home along with Polar Bear Mike. 3 players left to defend Space Station's Gold Fury.
Space Station does have Crush, probably the best opportunity to secure this Gold Fury as Panic
They're gonna get in there now.
Throws out the Ricochet. Vedium gets deleted, and now the Gold Fury is still alive. Now it's eUnited dashing forward. Viriziel eats that Root Crush combination, but still trying to escape.
Aegis it out perfectly. Viriziel turns around from a distance, throws the Beyblade, and takes down Final K. Not going to be available there. Number 6 for eUnited. Gold Fury started again. This time, Benji has the zone under control, handling 2 players in the mid lane. The first objective of the game goes to eUnited, and the first lead of the game goes to eUnited because of it. 4,000 in the lead is the blue team.
Great collapse onto Homie Efe after his blink on top of Chaos. A well-timed Aegis as well. Make sure that he's going to be okay. Benji barely able to escape that full combination from Annenster. And I wanted to say that I think Annenster just didn't expect how much damage Space Station was going to do to Polar Bear Mike on that initial engagement that feels like forever ago, where Jigs finds him with the Blink Cataclysm, the knockup, everything was there. Polar Bear Mike ults with about 15% HP left. I feel like an I'm a Monster coming through there could have gotten a quick reset, and then Space Station gets a waterfall that fight from there. Either way, eUnited end up on top because of the hesitation.
Benji and Viriziel make this fight, make the entire fight from me. Portal Demon goes the way of eUnited. No problem. I feel like United should have been more concerned than they were over there, but not a care in the world.
Final Judgment, man, and Chaos has his book. He's got something to read now. He's good to go, and he's got plenty of damage.
I need to stop this cast right now. You need to drop the book.
Cast, Jigs is dying. Tell people about it.
Oh, Jigs died. Panda Cat got the kill. Everybody should know. Andy might be next. Aegis is going to fall down very soon here, and it's Chaos that gets the last hit. Homie Efe on the back line, however, takes care of the Hunter. Here comes Final K dealing with Viriziel and Chaos. PBM trying to peel. Meanwhile, Benji keeping everyone else separated up north by the tier 1 tower. Final K falls back with the team. Panda Cat dead, but Andy and Jigs pay the price on the side of Space Station. It's a 1 for 2. eUnited happy.
An early Bulwark of Hope saves Final K there. The magical protection, the health, and the shield gets him out of danger from Chaos. Homie Efe needs to get himself out of danger after Benji is just throwing abilities around without a care in the world. I mean, this is exactly what Benji loves to do out of the solo lane. Get big and farm, come into these team fights, and just don't give a damn about what the other team is doing to you. 2-0-3, top of the player damage charts. He's got plenty of protection between the Breastplate of Valor and the Hide of the Urchin. What's going to be a Spirit's Robe, or excuse me, a Stone of Gaia next. Like, good luck killing this guy.
I like the fact that Benji just picked up that red buff. I think that it helps him do what he wants to do. Sun Wukong is one of my favorite characters because he brings a lot of disruption. His crowd control is annoying. You're not going to be a perfect setup man for your heavy mid lane damage or something. You're going to slow everybody and make them annoyed. You're going to knock everybody up with the Ox Form and make them annoyed. And then you're going to activate your extra life and make them annoyed. You give him the Gladiator Shield. He's healing himself up while he's spamming the abilities in the middle of everybody. And Benji, for me, has been the guy that's made both these team fights.
I thought you were going to say that you like Sun Wukong so much because his ultimate is basically an entire God's Kit in one ability.
I mean, it is. CC immunity, free life. He gets a free life. He heals up in the sky.
A leap, damage. The heel does it all.
Have you been talking to Bart lately?
I have not.
So
I know that was the point, though.
Yeah, I took the bait. I understand. I'm very easily. Listen, I'm mad guy. Okay, I'm mad.
You have been mad recently. You've been on your cackle and stuff.
But so funny story is we see eUnited maintain their 6,000 gold lead, pushing down the tier 1 tower on the left-hand side. Bart notoriously was not a fan of Sun Wukong because of everything that he can do. On our playtest accounts, Bart did not unlock Sun Wukong ever. Never played it in the playtest.
I appreciate his dedication, his willingness to just keep it that way.
That's how I feel about Bakasura, in all honesty. I just hate that character. Sometimes you gotta have this irrational hate, and it's kind of fun. It keeps the game fresh. Homie FA, Jigs, I don't think needed to help Homie FA out and trades his life there. Homie was fine.
Jigs was not. He found the 3-man Cataclysm, but didn't end up mattering. Final K on the run as well. Bulwark of Hope activated once more as he falls below that threshold. Chaos charging the Final Judgment. Can't quite find the shots quite yet. Trying to charge it up, and Homie FA just gets erased by Chaos. Another big ultimate out of eUnited's mid laner.
Using the damage or the length, the range on that ultimate with the window. Perfect play. Nice job coming out from eUnited. That right there, a rare misplay by Jigs. Jigs is one of my favorite support players to watch because and Benji just zoning the entire team while everybody gets Fire Giant. Jigs doesn't make mistakes like that.
Vedium has to use the Aegis and the beads there, I think, to get away from that stun from Chaos. Final K trying to keep that tether onto Benji to make sure that he can't quite continue the chase onto Vedium, but no one's going to stop this tier 2 tower push. eUnited get the Fire Giant. They get another 1,500 gold in their favor. They're doubling Space Station and kills right now, and all of a sudden this gold lead is nearly 10K.
So remember we were talking about Benji, and I brought up the fact that Mystical Mail would disrupt the double blink?
Yeah.
I'm glad he didn't go the Mystical Mail because eUnited are punishing the blink more than they're being disrupted by it.
Yeah, I mean, they've just been waiting for Jigs to blink in and blowing him up right away.
Every time Space Station blinks in, eUnited just goes, got it.
Thanks for putting yourself right into our hands. I mean,
it's delivery versus carryout.
And a lot of that is eUnited not grouping up right on top of each other. If you get 5-man blink Cataclysm, doesn't matter if you can beads and kill him right away, you're probably losing that fight regardless. It's been the fact that Jigs' best ultimate was a 3-man around the Fire Giant, and there was no one else from Space Station in the neighborhood to follow up. And even if Vedium was there, even if Homie FA was there, the fact that Annenster wasn't there is the big deal. This whole composition is set up for Annenster and Vedium, and unless Annenster's there and has I'm a Monster ready, it's going to be difficult for Space Station to win these team fights, especially when behind this much gold. But keep in mind, Scylla has an ultimate that can change the course of the game in just one team fight.
I've never heard that.
Really? I have.
You know what I did hear?
What's that?
The portal demon on the other side of the map being taken.
Nice use of the sound cues.
Yeah. Gotta play with your headphones on, folks. Space Station Gaming, right side, grouping up as 5. Could be scary for them. PBM finds a good ult, which we haven't... every United team fight that they've won has been a counter-engage. PBM has not really gone forward with that ultimate at all. It's just kind of hang out and wait for Jigs to deliver himself to us, and then we'll fight 5-on-4 after we murder Geb.
And there it is again. Jigs blinks forward, only finds one, and it's Polar Bear Mike immediately pulled in and controlled.
Knocked up.
Chaos finds him with the ultimate again.
We'll see you later. Final K gets a kill out of the support. That's a good one. 4v4 without the support players involved. And he tried to do it for Rizzy on the left-hand side. Jumping over is going to be Benji. Not looking for Final K. Just kind of hanging out in the sky. Will land on Andy. Finds the follow-up stun. And Chaos again. 516. That's his own area code. Making it happen. Not phoning it home. Playing it heavy this game.
That was such a big play from Benji. The auto-cancel Tiger Stun.
Oof.
And he never knew what hit him.
No.
He died immediately. Benji now in some trouble. Pops the Thorns pretty late. Vedium looking for the snipes. Does snipe him out.
The lead that Vedium took, just knowing where ex-teammate Benji was gonna go. Fun stuff out there from Vedium. I feel like Vedium is one of these players in the league, Aggro, that I wind up feeling bad for a lot. I feel like he has some of the better games when his team loses or is losing. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, we had a. It reminds me of Kevin Young, the old Pirates baseball player.
Okay.
It was like it was a '90s meme that he would only hit home runs when the team was losing by a million, and that's kind of what Vedium has done as of late. I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah, he's out here and he plays his face off. He's way up there on the player down. But check him out, number 3 overall, 2-1-3, fantastic slash line. He's finding these kills that don't really impact. It just comes up short a little bit, and I always just kind of sit there going, oh, Vedium.
Good. It was good.
Yeah.
It was
you played well, but oh well. Like I said, this has been a rare, difficult game for Jigs.
And it's on the run now. Verizio trying to chase him down. Nice have a monster to give himself the movement speed and CC immunity to get away.
You know how much? Only level 17. So it doesn't have the full movement speed, but I'm a monster. What is it? 30% until you reach level 20, and then it's something like 80 or 70?
It's crazy. I mean, you're zooming around in that thing once you finish it off. Every one of Scylla's abilities gets an additional benefit once it reaches the maximum number of ability points into it. But
the craziest being the root.
Yes, being able to root 3 people with Sikkim. Okay. I'm in, dude. I'm down with that.
It says the mid laner.
Yup.
No shame.
No, of course not.
eUnited showing no shame either here. Again, most likely looking for the counter engagement after Space Station winds up looking for the Blink Cataclysm. Keep an eye on eUnited and how heavily they pay attention to Jigs here.
And look at how spread out they are. That time Blink Cataclysm hits 2. Chaos does get forced into the beads. Panic Cat couldn't quite make the impact. And look at how quickly Jigs backs up. He pops Shell right away. He's like, I'm sorry. It was a joke.
Well, he's done that so many times. He finally learns the lesson. But unfortunately for him and his team, the left Phoenix still goes down anyway. Left and mid and right, all dead. Firebirds all taken care of by eUnited here in our 31st minute. 12-7, read the kills, folks. And eUnited off to a tear. That's not a 10,000 gold lead. That's almost a 20,000 gold lead.
Remember, eUnited does need to win both games in order to get themselves a DreamHack Valencia, but I believe they're guaranteed if they win both games. So as long as they can get there, they're in. Space Station, even if they lose both, not eliminated. It would matter what Luminosity does later on today.
Exactly.
With Trifecta finding the 2-0 over Team Allegiance, they are guaranteed to Valencia. So this is going to be a close one, man. This
is basically Space Station's set. All they have to do is win one, and they're good, sitting on top. eUnited, like you said, there's a lot more there. They got to win, hope for LG. There's a lot that has to go on here. And you know what? I think a lot of people at home, I think a lot of people in general, eUnited isn't really supposed to win this game. And if they do, if you've been watching, you say they have a chance. You're not expecting them to win this hard and this cleanly.
They've done a great job so far. I mean, the early game was a little bit back and forth. Homie FA's looked pretty good on this Robin jungle, 3-3-4. He's been the cleanup crew, but it's really been eUnited finding those quick early picks, mostly on the Jigs. 5 deaths.
Yeah. I just really, you know, I give a lot of props and a lot of credit to Polar Bear Mike. I think PBM is a driving force behind the strategic element that eUnited seems to be pulling out.
Well, again, eUnited knocked down that 3rd Phoenix once more right as it respawns. Benji chased Anitzer all the way into the base. Did have to commit his ultimate there, so slight window of opportunity for Space Station.
Here's the grouping up here on the left-hand side now. Looking to shove the minions into the throne room is Benji. Clearing out these opposition fire minions. Now looking for the final push. There's the Suns down from Panic Cat on top of the Titan. Still half HP. Vedium does get a kill, but it's just not enough. 32 minutes